Finished the National Geographic Hurricane Katrina Race Against Time documentary. This video is going to be just the key points of the last two episodes, episodes 4 and episode 5. In episode 4, so it wasn't clear if martial law was declared or not. There were conflicting stories about if there had been martial law declared, although even if it was declared, the mayor can't declare martial law. So they weren't sure if there were officers like actually following that order or not. Those who were coming in for aid were coming in with the mentality of shoot to kill or shoot to harm. Or it's like, if you're rescuing people, why are you even thinking about shooting anybody? So they were having this mentality of like, I'm entering a war zone. Like, I have to be ready, to shoot if I need to. This is 4 to 5 days after. So people are still out there. Some people are still on the roofs waiting to be rescued. There were helicopters that were going apparently to more affluent neighborhoods. And there was one scene where there was a group of Black people on the roof asking for help over and over, day after day. Nothing happened. And he was like, let me just see. So he pulled the Black people off of the roof, the guy who was like organizing, put the white people who are in the wheelchairs onto the roof. And he said within 15 minutes, the helicopter stopped. It seemed as though those who were in wealthier areas were getting rescued first, although their neighborhoods were not as deeply impacted as, unfortunately, those who were in the Black communities. FEMA was acting as though they had no idea anyone was at the convention center. Some people were like, do you even know that this convention center and the Superdome are two different places? So people at the convention center had no food, no water. There was allegedly food and water going to the Superdome, but convention center people for sure had nothing. And again, FEMA had no idea that people were even there. For those who were going into the Superdome, they had to be checked and frisked for sharp objects. So one lady said like the 2-year-old's diaper had to like be looked in to make sure that they had no sharp objects going in. People were told to walk across this bridge over the Mississippi River to another side of Louisiana. People were walking in the hot sun. Again, if you've been in Louisiana, like hot, humid, they were walking in this hot sun on the cement over the bridge. When they got to the end of the bridge, they were not allowed to cross over. Like, they had to, this is the only way to get out of New Orleans, and they had to stay. They had no access to get out. This is the last access. The other bridge is broken. The airport is flooded out. This is their only way to get out. And they had officers there basically pointing at them with guns saying to turn around. You are not entering this neighborhood. Again, people were thinking, they're not coming into this neighborhood to start looting and start causing ruckus. So nobody on foot is like leaving out of this city. So they had to turn around, go back. And this was after the mayor had told them, like, if you walk, you can cross the bridge and go to the next city. And then they were like, no. This turned into the neighbors and other people being in the same mentality of like, we're shooting anybody that we see. Like, if anyone looks like they're causing problems, like, we're shooting. There was one sickening scene where a group of white neighbors were out in a cookout, like bragging that like it was like hunting season. Like, they were just shooting whoever that they saw. Like, if it moved, shoot them. So that part was hard to watch because it's like, these are just people who were displaced. These are not people who are, animals, or I don't even know. I don't have the mentality, so I don't know. But what are you thinking? So finally, in episode 5, the buses do come. Planes are starting to come. However, there's no destination. Some people who were boarding were like, I have other family in Louisiana. Can I just go stay with them? No, you have to get on this plane. Like, anyone who was getting evacuated has to get onto the plane or the bus. Don't ask where we're going. So people are being displaced all over the country. And if you think about it, if you already barely or don't have any money to leave Louisiana, like, if you end up in San Francisco or, I don't know, Portland or Texas, like, how are you going to get back home? I'm thinking of all these people who were displaced and where are they supposed to be going and how are they supposed to be getting home and what's supposed to happen. There was a million people displaced from just the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Because Louisiana has graves that are above ground, some people went back to like look at the cemetery of their loved ones, and like the caskets were out of the ground. Caskets were out of the ground. They were visible. The cemeteries like were a mess. 1,300 people passed away. The city made a plan to like redistribute people or redistribute the land, which again was not fair because this is mostly in Black communities. So, you know, people work hard for what they have and they work hard for their land. For then the government to be like, no, I'm about to take that land and you're not allowed to rebuild on it. So they ended up having, you know, different grants and funds to help those who had their property destroyed. But of course, the distribution was not equitable. There was always like hoops to jump through. So some people just, you know, end up being tired of that, and they just say, I'm just going to sell the land. Like, it's not even worth the hassle or the fight. Buyouts were a bigger advantage than like just trying to go through the system for years and years and years and still end up with no grant money. The last key point that was shocking was that the levees were rebuilt. The levees were reinforced. The engineers did not take into consideration global warming. So it's predicted that in about 70 years, the sea level near New Orleans is going to be 4 feet higher, which is going to be over the levee. So it's just like, y'all, can we get this right? So what, in 70 years it's going to happen again? So they didn't take that into consideration, but it's really a hard documentary to watch, but I think so necessary because, again, this is not like the 1800s. This was very recent history, and seeing how Americans treated other Americans. I'm not saying obviously the whole population, but the help that should have been provided and was not provided, and people who, you know, like if a hurricane came right now or something devastating came right now and I was displaced, you're just going to treat me like an animal just because I was in a situation I had no control over? No. Oh, another thing, they were calling those who were leaving Louisiana refugees, and they're like, we're not refugees. Like, we live in this country. We're not refugees. We're just people who were displaced by hurricanes. So it was just like, all these refugees are coming in from Louisiana, which I feel like already puts like a distance between somebody like, oh, you guys don't live here. You're not from here. But I don't know. I think you can only hope that people learn from the past. Neighborhoods have been gentrified, so those who wanted to move back cannot afford to move back or rebuild. So I think the consensus is that the feeling is not the same. The culture is still there, but it's not like as authentic as having generations and having like so much family history. A lot of family history is just wiped away. So check out the documentary. It's worth it. They did an amazing job capturing all of the information that I think that we've been missing for a long time. So check it out. Let me know what you think.